Hi there, my name is Laura, and today we're going to learn how to use gravity bags for tube feeding. Gravity bags are a great way to perform a tube feeding to the stomach hands-free. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through step by step how to perform a gravity bag tube feeding so that you too can be an expert. Since gravity tube feedings take about 20 to 45 minutes, you're going to want to set yourself up next to a comfortable chair or your bed. If you are laying down, it's important that your head is elevated to at least 30 degrees, or if you're able to tolerate it, sitting up to at least 45 degrees. You can use pillows to keep yourself propped upright. This helps prevent aspiration or reflux during or after your tube feeding. So the first thing you want to do is get completely set up for your gravity bag tube feeding. You're going to want to clean off the area where you'll be preparing your formula using a cleaning wipe to completely clean it off to help prevent infection. Then you're going to gather all your supplies. You'll need an IV pole, your gravity bag, water for your water flushes, a syringe that matches your feeding tube, or if you need a connection, such as a legacy to infant connector, make sure you have that as well. You will also need the amount of cans of formula prescribed by your dietitian for one feeding. With those cans, you also want to make sure you clean off the top, again to help prevent infection. Now that we're all set up, let's prepare the gravity bag. So the first thing you're going to want to do is make sure that the roller is all the way down to make sure that the tube is clamped shut. Now let's add the formula to your gravity bag. Go ahead and take the cap off and pour in the designated amount of formula for one tube feeding as prescribed by your dietitian. Then replace the cap and hang the bag back on your IV pole. If you did not use an entire can of formula, you can save this formula and use it again within the next 24 hours. Make sure to label it with the date and the time that it was opened and place it in the refrigerator. When hanging your gravity bag on the IV pole, make sure to adjust the height of the pole so that the bottom of the gravity bag is at least 18 inches above your stomach. To finish preparing the gravity bag, go ahead and squeeze on the chamber, which is this little piece below the feeding bag, and squeeze until the formula has filled the chamber about halfway. Perfect. Now, let's prime the tube. So you're going to want to go ahead and take the cap, if there is one, off of the tip of your gravity bag tube and hold the tip over either the empty can of formula or over an empty cup. So the goal here is to get out all the air out of the tube so that air doesn't go into your stomach and cause gas and bloating. So now you're going to want to go ahead and roll the roller up slowly on the tube and watch as all the bubbles go out of the tube. Once you see the formula start to drip off the end, go ahead and clamp the tube back shut, and your tube is primed. We want to make sure to flush your tube with water before and after your feeding so that you can prevent any clogging in your tube or check to see if there is a current clog. The water also helps provide you with some extra hydration. To prepare a water flush, you're going to want to start by clamping the tube either with a clamp or with your hand, and then take the cap off your tube. Place a syringe into the end of your feeding tube. If you have a legacy, make sure it's pushed all the way in. If you have an infant tube, make sure you've screwed the syringe all the way in place. Then pour in the amount of water prescribed to you by your dietitian for one flush. When the water is in the syringe, you can let go of your tube and watch as the water goes into your stomach. When the water has gone in, you can clamp the tube again and pull out the syringe. We're going to go ahead and replace that syringe with the tip of the gravity bag tube. Again, make sure it's completely connected in place, either by pushing it in for the legacy or by screwing it in if you have an end-fit connection. Once it's in, you can release your tube and then start the flow of your tube feeding using the roller. The higher you push the roller, the faster your rate. So if you want to go nice and slow, you want to put it down low. Think low and slow. If you're tolerating your tube feedings well and you'd like to go at a faster rate, simply roll the roller up just a little bit and see how you tolerate it at a faster rate. You can always adjust it mid-feeding too if you need to. If you're experiencing any discomfort or bloating, you can always pause the tube feeding by rolling the roller down until the tube is clamped shut. If you need to, the tube feeding is good for 8 hours hanging here, so you can resume at a later time. If you're not going to resume for more than 8 hours and there's still formula in the bag, you're going to want to write on the bag the date and the time that you started the feeding, and then you can place the bag in the refrigerator and use it within 24 hours. When you have finished your tube feeding, you're going to want to give yourself one more water flush. So go ahead, make sure the roller is pushed all the way down to the end to clamp the tube. Then you're going to clamp your actual feeding tube, again with your hand or with the clamp on the tube, and take out the tip of the gravity bag tube and replace it with the tip of the syringe. Making sure it's in there nice and snug, either pushed in or screwed in for the infant. Give yourself again the designated amount of water for one water flush. Then unclamp the tube and let the water go into your stomach. This helps keep your tube nice and clean and prevent, again, future blockages. When the water is in, clamp your tube, remove the syringe, and then put the cap back on your tube. Lastly, make sure you stay elevated at least 30 to 45 degrees for at least 30 minutes after your tube feeding to help prevent any kind of GI distress or aspiration. After the feeding, you can clean out your gravity bag with warm water, and the same with your syringe. You can also use a mild soap on the syringe if you would like. Make sure to use a new gravity bag every 24 hours to help prevent infection. And that's it! You should be all set to perform a gravity bag tube feeding with confidence.